right, it's looking like the World Cup might be a bust. Hotels say the World Cup economic boom is not materializing.
Why would anyone travel to the United States for the FIFA World Cup?
Well, it looks like the World Cup and the hotel industry are getting completely screwed.
So overnight, 17,000 more tickets were canceled for the World Cup here in America.
So now the hotel industry in the United States is starting to worry about the World Cup because they're seeing that people are not going to come. They don't have reservations, or at least what they expected in terms of reservations for this summer. And they're basically blaming it on the geopolitical tensions and the sustained Trump slump of lacking international tourism to the United States, because ever since he came into the White House, we've had consecutive months of decline of tourism visits to the U.S. I will add one other thing, though, okay, that is not political. I do think the hotel industry also misread the moment and increased the prices exponentially, thinking that all 104 games were 104 Super Bowls, as Goofy Tino was out there promoting. They should have realized, no, not every game is going to be Super Bowl-like, and thus should have dropped their prices accordingly. But they were also being very, very stubborn about, reducing prices, providing deals for fans. And so now we're here. Now, these hotels are only expecting a revenue boost per available room nationally of only 1.2% in June and 1.5% in July. And again, this is extremely disappointing stats considering that they were expecting a hell of a lot more people to come. We're much less bullish about the World Cup than we were 3 months ago. The demand for reserved room block has been very lackluster. Now, they are holding out hope that in July, things will get a little bit better as the games do get better since they're going to be in the knockout stages. And they hope that tourism from abroad will pick up at the last minute. But again, the rules the White House have put in place to allow for easy last-minute trips to the United States have also gotten more difficult. So it's a give and take. But you should not be expecting the $30.5 billion economic output that this World Cup is expected to create, nor expect the 185,000 jobs. This is all bullshit numbers. Apparently, to this analysis, the one that is going to lose out the most in terms of revenue for rooms is Kansas City, which to me seems kind of weird because actually Kansas City, they got 2 Argentina games. They actually have a pretty good game. I would have San Francisco would have been on this list, considering that they got at the end.
The World Cup tournament, this will be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to showcase the greatness of America.
The German politician Jürgen Hart, a member of the Christian Democratic Union, has raised the idea of a potential World Cup boycott in a German newspaper.
Boycotting the upcoming World Cup games in the U.S., the local World Cup committee has been expecting hundreds of thousands of visitors to travel to the Metro when the matches kick off in 5 months.
The 2026 FIFA is turning into the most expensive missed opportunity in U.S. tourism history. And the evidence is mounting that international fans are not coming to the United States. They're going to Toronto, Vancouver, Mexico City, Guadalajara, and Monterrey instead. The golden goose everyone promised is flying to Canada and Mexico, while American host cities watch their projected windfalls evaporate in real time. Start with the collapse nobody wants to discuss publicly. International tourism to the United States dropped 5.4% in 2025. Not flat, not stagnant, declined. While the entire rest of the planet saw international travel increase 4% last year, America went backwards. The country about to host the single biggest sporting event the world has ever seen is the only major nation on earth that saw tourism fall. And now we are supposed to believe millions of international visitors will suddenly flood into American cities this summer? The data suggests otherwise. The World Travel and Tourism Council studied 184 countries. The United States is the only one expected to see a decline in international tourism. Their CEO stated publicly that the world's biggest travel economy is heading in the wrong direction, not from lack of demand, but from failure to act. Other nations are rolling out welcome mats. America is effectively putting up a closed sign. The economic projections tell you what was supposed to happen. FIFA and the World Trade Organization released a joint study projecting the 2026 World Cup and Club. World Cup together would generate roughly $47 billion in economic output and add $62 billion to global GDP. The United States alone was projected to see a $17.2 billion GDP boost and creation of 185,000 jobs. Individual host cities, built budgets around transformational numbers. Atlanta expected over $1 billion from hosting 8 matches, including a semifinal. Dallas projected between $400 and $415 million in direct economic impact from 9 matches. Houston looked at $1.5 billion from 7 matches and training camps. Los Angeles expected nearly $600 million in total regional impact. The New York and New Jersey area hosting the actual World Cup final at MetLife Stadium projected $3.3 billion in economic impact and expected to draw 1.2 million visitors. Boston Consulting Group estimated the entire tournament would generate over $5 billion in short-term economic activity across North America, supporting around 40,000 jobs and over $1 billion in new worker wages. Airbnb alone estimated its hosts across 16 U.S. cities would generate over $2.6 billion in revenue during the tournament. These were not wild guesses. They were built on the assumption that international tourists would show up in massive numbers, because international visitors are the golden goose of event tourism. On average, a foreign visitor to the United States spends 4 times more per person than a domestic traveler. 4 times. That means when you lose international visitors, you do not just lose bodies and seats, you lose the highest spending, most economically impactful segment of your entire audience. And that is exactly what is happening. The Canadian collapse tells the clearest story. Canada is not just any source of international tourists for America. Canada is the single largest source of foreign visitors to the United States. In 2024, Canadian visitors made approximately 20.4 million trips to the US and spent roughly $20.5 billion supporting about 140,000 American jobs. That relationship is the backbone of cross-border tourism in North America. And in 2025, Canadian travel to the United States fell by approximately 30%. 30%. That is not a dip. That is a collapse. Statistics Canada reported return trips from the US were down more than 26% in October alone compared to the previous year. The reasons layered together. A weakened Canadian dollar made trips south more expensive. Ongoing trade disputes and tariff tensions soured the overall relationship. Stricter border controls and several high-profile incidents of travelers being detained created genuine anxiety about crossing into the US. Travel experts described it as a perfect storm of political frustration, economic pressure, and personal fear all converging at once. When 20 million visits suddenly becomes 14 million visits, the ripple effects are enormous.
FIFA is ruining the World Cup. Between Gianni Infantino's invention of a FIFA Peace Prize for the US president to this year's record high ticket prices, the 2026 World Cup is alienating fans everywhere.
Behind me is BMO Field, where construction of the Toronto Stadium is taking place in preparation for the largest FIFA World Cup in history. But most of the matches won't be held on this side of the border, nor in Mexico, despite that it's being promoted as jointly hosted.
The US is set to host 78 of 104 tournament matches, marred by its egregious human rights violations. It's not just ICE abductions, disappearances, and killings. The US regime is openly sponsoring genocide, occupation, terrorism, and waging wars abroad. Calls are mounting internationally for a FIFA World Cup boycott. Football journalist Nima Tavalli was among the early voices to argue that U.S. travel bans should automatically disqualify the U.S. from hosting. He's joined by a growing number of sports journalists, sports content creators, and podcasters sounding the alarm over travel to the U.S.
Fans of 15 countries qualified for the FIFA World Cup have had their immigrant visa processing suspended, including 4-time champions Brazil. With 48 teams scheduled to participate in the tournament, we're now in a situation where fans of roughly 40% of these teams qualified for the World Cup are potentially banned from entry to the United States for that World Cup. This policy is a direct violation of FIFA's own statutes, which state that football is an institution open to everyone. This is a farce that eclipses the farce of the inaugural FIFA Peace Prize awarded to Donald Trump by FIFA President Gianni Infantino. A Donald Trump who in his first year of his second term as President of the United States bombed 7 countries, with several reports suggesting he's going in for a new round of bombings on Iran, on top of having kidnapped the President of Venezuela.
FIFA President Infantino awarded Trump the prize as U.S. massacres and extrajudicial killings in the Caribbean and Pacific hit the 3-month mark.
This is the same U.S. that is funding a genocide in Palestine, the same U.S. that's strangling Cuba for over 60 years, that bombed Nigeria, that just last month kidnapped the sitting president of Venezuela, all while carrying out what even the UN has called extrajudicial killings across the Caribbean. Haiti, who's qualified for the World Cup for the first time in 50 years. And yet, the host country has banned Haitians, stripping them of TPS protections and escalating deportations of Haitian people. That is who's hosting the beautiful games.
All while we watch mass-scale repression in the U.S. as it prepares to host this multi-billion-dollar spectacle.
Because it is so incredibly dangerous for people to simply be in the U.S. right now due to this increasing and intensifying U.S. repression. The World Cup cannot take place in the U.S. simply because it is so dangerous for fans of the World Cup to be here, for players of the World Cup to be here, and the games have to be held somewhere else. The North-South Project for People-Centered Human Rights, in alignment with an anti-fascist football coalition, has launched this campaign to boycott the World Cup and boycott the U.S.
They're circulating a petition calling on both FIFA and the International Olympic Committee to ban the United States and Israel from hosting or participating in international sporting events. A group called No Olympics LA, which is part of the boycott campaign, has detailed how the Olympics and the World Cup help fuel Israeli war crimes in Palestine, with event security schemes run by former Israeli occupation forces soldiers and Mossad agents. European objection to the US-hosted tournament is becoming louder each day.
Tens of thousands of people have protested the Milano Cortina Winter Olympic Games with news of the deployment of ICE agents, while in the US, 31 immigrant and civil rights groups have now issued a travel advisory, urging visitors and tourists to consider the risks of traveling to Miami for the summer matches.
The United States is actively waging a war on the very same countries that it's inviting to the U.S. to play. The U.S. does not deserve to host the World Cup. The U.S. deserves to be boycotted.
My feeling is boycott it.
Really?
Honestly, I think the World Cup is a joke. I think FIFA giving Donald Trump a big rosette and a peace prize has undermined everything that football's about. I think the fact that it's being played in a country that's threatening not to give visas to the players, to the staff, to the fans, I think it's ridiculous. I think it's a complete embarrassment. That wasn't the answer you were expecting, was it?
It wasn't, but it's not what I entirely disagree with.
It's not exactly 3 lines on your chest, is it? But it is. I think the World Cup is now a joke. I don't think I'll be giving it any time. It's really undermined what football's all about.
Could Europe really drive a World Cup boycott?
Or from a moral point of view, like, I don't think we should be there. I think it's going to be probably a horrible World Cup.
More than 130,000 have signed Toyn van der Kerken's boycott petition, which calls on the Dutch government to withdraw the national team from the World Cup. Talk of a boycott is gaining traction in Europe in response to Donald Trump's US administration.
This boycott idea is now popular also amongst football fans.
Aber von seiner Propagandashow WM bliebe ohne uns nicht so viel übrig.
People are getting a bit fed up with the weak position of that politicians in Europe take.
The main concerns are over human rights and foreign policy, especially the ongoing debate over Greenland.
All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland.
It is one of the last tools in the toolbox that you should take up. But I will be honest and say, yes, if that should happen, then a boycott discussion is very, very relevant.
Europe's biggest football nations have been wary to take a stance. Germany's FA did not reply to a DW request for comment.
If only the Netherlands wouldn't go, Trump wouldn't care. But if these countries unite and say we won't go, then that would be very bad for Trump, for his reputation.
So I have further proof that FIFA is struggling to sell tickets and hospitality packages for the 2026 World Cup. Some of my followers have been sending me emails indicating some of these changes. So for hospitality packages, it looks like for this game below, Portugal versus the Intercontinental Playoff winner, they're going to discontinue the pavilion offering that they were selling. And instead, for all those that bought the pavilion for that game, they're going to get a free upgrade, which is insane. Yes, even to the Champions Club Suite, which I think is the highest level option that you could have gotten for hospitality. The fact that they could get this upgrade for free is, well, I mean, amazing for this individual. But again, goes to show you that they have indeed overpriced these hospitality packages, and they just thought that people were just going to go ahead and pay whatever price was in front of them. And this is also affecting regular seats as well. Okay, so this season ticket member from Sporting KC informed me that the club has secured a limited number of tickets for select matches happening in Kansas City. These are the games. As you can see, they are the quote-unquote not attractive games. I can't really tell if the prices are any better, but again, for a lot of us that, you know, sure, we would love to go see teams that we never really see on a day-to-day basis, like Algeria, Austria, paying $380 for Category 2 seats still seems like a lot of money, especially considering that for, you know, Arrowhead Stadium, Category 2 is in the 300 in the upper levels. And so I think this is further proof that FIFA has not sold out, definitely not a majority of the games, but it also highlights how this entire strategy of just distributing tickets to all of the partners, to all of the sponsors, and then having all of these piecemeal sales has actually backfired on their strategy to make more money, because if anything, it's actually disincentivized people to keep tracking where they could possibly buy tickets, because they could have just gone to one site, FIFA. They could have just gone there, bought the tickets, done. But this dispersed, you know, model of ticket sales, it's just made a whole bunch of fans and a whole bunch of you just say, screw it.
All right, it's looking like the World Cup might be a bust. Hotels say the World Cup economic boom is not materializing. Hotel reservations in host cities like New York, Philadelphia, and San Francisco are reporting lower than expected bookings. Who wants to come here to 1930s Germany? Like, really? Did you know we're being boycotted by most of the world? And that was even before we attacked Iran with Israel. Did you know that tourism is normally $3 trillion of economic stimulus in the USA economy? And we're going to be devastated by our lack of tourism, not only this year, but the next 3 years. Nobody's coming here. Most people have canceled their trips here. Did you know that Canadians are our largest group of visitors? And sometimes they come here 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year, and they're not coming here. This is going to be catastrophic for the USA. FIFA is going to be a dud. Were you planning on coming here for a vacation and you've changed your plans? Were you coming here for the World Cup and you've changed your plans? Drop a comment below. And if you found this post informative and you want to know what's going on in the economy, please like, comment, follow, and share.
If you want to come to the US and watch the World Cup and you're from these 5 nations, you are out of luck. If you are from Algeria, Senegal, Cape Verde, Ivory Coast, or Tunisia, and you want to come and watch your country play in the World Cup in the United States of America, you will have to pay $15,000 as a deposit. And Trump is doing this because he wants to discourage illegal immigration into the USA through the World Cup. I think this is a crazy move. You guys let me know, what are your thoughts on this? Follow me, follow me, follow me, follow me.
So I've been covering U.S. soccer and specifically Major League Soccer for about 5 years right now. I've been in the press box probably at least 100 times at this point, for all I know. MLS, USL, women's soccer, Premier League when it came to MetLife Stadium last year, which is pretty cool. And I've got to say, as somebody who's covered soccer here in the U.S., I have never seen such a disappointing mess like the World Cup has been. Between the price gouging from FIFA, jacking prices up by thousands of dollars, you know, seat changes where if you get a Category 1, they may randomly put you to Category 2 or 3, but not refund your money. You know, to what New Jersey Transit's doing with a price gouge of like $100 to get to East Rutherford for MetLife Stadium, which, by the way, is not by any stretch a public transit stadium. I live 15 minutes from there. It is meant to be driven into. It is not meant to be taking public transit food. And the fact that they don't allow parking on this, there's no tailgating. I mean, this is something that I gotta say, I am massively disappointed by. I thought, honestly, this was going to be great for soccer in the U.S. You have, you know, so many different stadiums here, Philadelphia, basically out west, Seattle, LA. You had a chance to really be able to spread soccer to the United States in a way that basically it has never reached this audience before. And all that I read, all that I see, everything that I look at is just one problem after another and one disappointment after another. So I'm not going. They bungled my press access, which, truth be told, at this point, I think I'm probably okay with, given everything. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. You know, were you planning on going? Could you afford to go? That's another question too. You know, and what are your game plans for this? I'm curious. Anyway, take care. Appreciate the time and be well.
Do you know how badly you have to fuck up in order for FIFA to start talking about canceling the World Cup in your country? This is the same organization that had no problem hosting the World Cup in Russia in 2018 after the first invasion of Ukraine. Like, do you guys realize the magnitude to which US policies have absolutely pissed off the entire world? And as a person living in the US, you know what? I hope they cancel it. Because you're right, I would not feel safe sending my athletes to the US where just the most atrocious things are happening to those that are coming to this country on visa.
So overnight, 17,000 more tickets were canceled for the World Cup here in America. Now, if you are living outside of America and you're still planning to come here in June to attend the World Cup, just do research, especially if you are from a country in South America, Central America, Africa, even places like Portugal, Spain. Just do your research. Now, if you are in like England or Australia, you are probably safe, but those other countries, definitely do research before getting on a plane, because right now in America, ICE agents are going up to anyone that is black or brown, questioning them. And all of these people are US citizens, right? And they're asking for identifications, harassing them, and in some cases, arresting them for no reason. So I just want you guys to do research before you plan on attending the World Cup. And we're also getting information that a lot of people, a lot of US citizens, their passports are all wonky, meaning they are flying out of the United States, getting to their destination in another country, and their passport is being reported as lost or stolen, so they can't get into that country and they have to fly back to America. So I don't want that to happen to y'all. I'm not going to tell you to come or not to come. Do your own research, make your own decision, but it's not safe here.
Why would anyone travel to the United States for the FIFA World Cup? I'm seriously asking that question. Why would any international person travel right now to the United States for the FIFA World Cup when you are watching people getting detained and shot in the face for no reason? If you were a person of any color other than pure baby powder white, you are absolutely not safe. And we've even seen if you are baby powder white, you are still not safe. Why would you take a chance coming to a country where you could be detained, locked in prison, deported to God knows where because you came to watch a soccer game? Because you came to watch a football game. Why would you come to the United States to do that? I really don't understand why. The made-up FIFA World Peace Prize that Donald Trump gave, and he immediately bombed another country and stole their leader. Like, this is not a safe place. The citizens of the United States don't want to be here. Please do not come to the United States of America for the FIFA World Cup if you are not from this country. Anyone who does not have to be here should not be.
What's the biggest problem about the 2026 World Cup?
That it's being hosted in America, being in the United States.
That it's in America.
Oh, because it's in America.
So that we gave Donald Trump a peace medal, and for what exactly is my question?
I don't particularly agree with all the sort of persecution of these illegal immigrants.
Football is a global sport, so having countries that are restricting access when people just want to come and watch their countries play is disappointing.
Would you feel safe going over there?
No, I'm not interested in traveling to the States in general, being a black person. You know what I mean?
Like, even if I'm white, I still wouldn't want to go. Just with all the immigration issues, I don't think it's safe for anyone to go.
Who's trying to get deported just to go and celebrate your team?
Would you feel guilty at all watching the World Cup this year?
Guilty? No. I support Saka, innit? So I have to watch him.
I think so, because I also boycotted the Qatar World Cup.
If we were to watch any of the matches, it would be the ones that are in Canada or Mexico, I feel.
I'm still going to, like, if it's on the TV, I'm going to watch it. I'm not going to protest by closing my eyes and be like, oh no, I don't want to see this. I don't think guilt is the word, even though I do not support what's happening in America. The World Cup is, I think it transcends that. Fans, supporters, coaches and sportsmen, if they stand for what's right, they can use that platform to continue to express that. We only have voices, we don't have the money or the power.
Well, it looks like the World Cup and the hotel industry are getting completely screwed by Trump and his war. World Cup host cities like San Francisco, Philadelphia, and New York have reported tens of thousands of hotel cancellations by FIFA, and fans are not making reservations either. And all of this is Trump's fault because people can't afford to fly or drive to the games because of oil prices. And he's completely destroyed international travel because nobody wants to come here from outside of the country because everybody hates us now. People aren't going to go to these games to spend their money and also risk their lives because he's promised to put ICE at every stadium. So even if you're a US citizen, why would you want to go to an event and bring your children where you know there will be violence because CBP and ICE doesn't do anything in a peaceful way? This was supposed to be an economic boom for this country, over $30 billion for businesses small and big, but he's ruined all of that. Summer tourism was down by huge numbers last year, and it's only going to be worse this year. Everything he touches, he destroys. There isn't a piece of this economy that he hasn't hit with a sledgehammer. And while I am sure people will be watching these games, they will be doing it from their homes or bars or restaurants. People don't want to go to these events. It's too expensive to travel, and it's dangerous to be there. Please support my work by